Hey people, so this is not a TikTok, this is not a reel, no entertainment here today. We're having a serious conversation. So it's about now that it's been a year since I had my coil fitted as treatment for my endometriosis. So for those of you that follow me, see I talk about endometriosis quite a bit. I was diagnosed with it a year ago. There's no cure for this condition that affects 1 in 10 women. It can only be managed. So it's a chronic condition that I will have for the rest of my life. It will impact my fertility, my ability to have kids. It will impact, it affects every area of my life now anyway, but that, I guess that's the next thing that it will impact, that will have a notable a notable effect on. Anyway, I said when I got my coil fitted and I did a video talking about it, my experiences through NHS, the system, etc., that I'd do a 6-monthly and a yearly update. I never did the 6-monthly one because that was the beginning of a global pandemic. However, I am here doing the yearly one, and I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I didn't really want to do it. I know I may seem like this confident endo warrior on my Instagram and my Twitter at times, but it doesn't get any easier talking about a condition that I've had like mental battles with since I was the age of 14. Like, each video I put out doesn't all of a sudden make me feel better. That may sound weird, but it doesn't get easier to talk about. However, because I suffered so much in silence, I cannot live with myself if I don't help be a part of the solution and help there be less of a stigma when talking about periods, because there definitely was one when I was a teenager. And the reason why I'm here talking about this is because of an article my dad sent me last week that featured in the Times, and I guess that was really the impetus that was at Anita. If you don't talk about this, how are you being part of the solution? So anyway, let me show you the article that I'm talking about. So it says, girls can't take time off for periods because pain just part of being a woman. So if you didn't see this, I'll give you a brief summary. Essentially, a vice principal and head of a 6th form at a school in the UK sent an email out to all the students. So this was males and females, or people who identify as both of those, about girls being able to, or not being able to go home if they're unwell, or not being able to call in sick because of their period. And I want to read to you exactly what it said, so I can't be accused of misquoting anyone. So the email said this: any female student asking to be sent home ill or phoning in ill who has a period will not find this a suitable excuse. Learning to deal with monthly inconvenience is all part of being a woman, I'm afraid. As in, no, when I read this, there's a lot to get into that. There's a lot. That's a loaded paragraph, okay? Excuse. Like, that is bringing out my half Nigerian in me. Excuse. She. Anyway, that word in itself, just like that one, just fired things in my brain like, excuse. To give you context, okay? So in year 10, so I was 2 years below this age. I was 15, 16. I missed best part of 60 days of school. That was not by choice. My parents are not the type to let me sit on my backside at home and not go in for anything. I literally was doubled up in pain. In school, if I had a male teacher and I felt unwell, I would ask the teacher if I could go to the loo, and then that was me gone. Thank God I had a godsend of a tutor who was a PE teacher. I'd go and find her, and she'd let me sit on the side of her class whilst I'm literally just there like holding my belly because I couldn't do anything else, or like trying to comfort my crotch area. And if I felt better, I'd go to my class after that. But more often times than not, I ended up going home because I just couldn't concentrate because I was in so much pain. I was sent to the doctor so many times for them to just tell me, oh, it's normal, it's this, it's that. So that's why that sentence there in this email like really struck a chord with me. And it's important to highlight that the person who sent this email was a woman. This is why menstrual health education across the board is needed. It's not a case that, oh, because women have periods, they will all of a sudden know what's what, and they will know how some women suffer. You know, that's not the case. In fact, maybe she never had a period. Maybe she just had very light ones and cannot even comprehend that women could actually be debilitated for days on end during their menstrual cycle. So that for me just highlighted why people like me need to use their voice even more to talk about this, because nothing's going to change. And like I said, I would like the world to be a better place, were I to have my own children, were I to have a daughter, and maybe she has this, you know. I don't want her to ever feel the shame, the fear, the embarrassment that I had. So that's where I got it off my chest. Woo! So that's why I'm talking about my coil and a year since it's been implanted. Implanted? Is that the right word? Fitted. Listen, I'm not a medical professional. Anyway, I talk about down there as the triangle area. So how am I going to even know if it's implanted or fitted? Apologies if it's one or the other. Anyway, so the coil. I called it the vagina killer. I maintain it is the vagina killer because, sheesh, if you're looking for a form of contraception, of course, this is my personal opinion. It is not a medical opinion. Let me make that clear. I would not opt for that. I would not opt for that whatsoever. I would try the pill. I'd try the implant. I'd try everything else but that. Because I think there are other forms of contraception that are less invasive and disruptive. So first 6 months of my life were hell. The first 3 months were hell. And I persevered and kept it for 6 months because luckily I have a great relationship with an endometriosis nurse specialist, and she implored me to keep it in for 6 months. She said, Anita, it can take 6 months for the body to get used to it. I know this is difficult. Like, I had to go to the hospital to check that it was inserted correctly. I had to have scans. Like, it got really bad. And so I took her advice and I kept it for 6 months. It was literally like a roller coaster. I had more worse days than good days. I had more bad days, than good days, because there was all the uncertainty. I was taking more cocadamol. This was the irony of it all, that I, before my surgery, had to take quite a lot of cocadamol. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially codeine and paracetamol, which are really strong painkillers that can cause addiction. You have to be so careful. I had to borderline live on that before my surgery because of how much pain I was in, and to try and live like some normal life. Anyway, after surgery, I was hoping I wouldn't have to rely on that. And unfortunately, with the coil being fitted in those first 6 months, I had to take a lot of it in order to just get by day to day. However, it got to, and I was bleeding, I'd say for the first 3 months, I was bleeding most days, or like had very light blood. Then from month 3 to month 6, I'd say it was less frequent. I couldn't really establish if I was having a period. It just felt like I was just bleeding. That's the weird thing. There's so much uncertainty. You have to be armed with pads or tampons if you want. So it's a mess. You just don't know how your body's going to react or how it's going to deal with that, because you're putting this foreign object in there. So anyway, from around from the 6th month onwards, things just started to calm down. It was so weird. The pains that I'd had, the consistent pains I'd have like nearly every day, all of a sudden it reduced to like having pains for 2 weeks of a month. Then it got to 7 months, and it was like 1 week of the month. And I then like bled maybe in the 7th month and the 8th month, very little, like light. Like I said, it was almost like just like droplets, nothing much. And then I hadn't had a period until very recently. I didn't bleed at all for about 4 months, 3-4 months. And I was just like, whoa. I did have like the migraines and the pains. I definitely had the pains, but like I said, it was maybe a few days a month. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't notice, however, that like stress still like caused me pains, and yeah, especially if I was stressed, that has a direct impact on my pains. I don't know about other people, but that's something to bear in mind. However, like I said, I'm now at this year point. I've just had a period for the first time in like 3-4 months, and it was quite heavy, which shocked me, because the last time I had bled a few months ago, it wasn't. But on the balance, I can say the coil has like given me my life back. I cannot remember a time in my life where my life wasn't ruled by my period and my pains. So to have had 3 or 4 months where I didn't have to think about it was so weird. It was almost like beautiful, I want to say, because it didn't inform my decisions about what I did, because previously it would make me think about what I was going to do on a certain day, because if I knew I was going to have a period, I'd be like, girl, don't do that, because you're probably going to have to cancel then, or you're going to have to make sure you have your codeine in your bag, because if you don't, ibuprofen and paracetamol aren't going to cut it. So I'd say, on the balance, if you have endometriosis and you've had your surgery and you're on the pill and it's not working for you, be open to the coil. However, like I said, it's a huge however. You've got to be patient. Patience is key. The first 6 months will be a psychological roller coaster. It will be up and down. Your body's getting used to it. It can take max 6 months. So there will be times when you think you should take it out. However, I'd say persevere until the 6th month if you can. And if then it doesn't have any positive effect, then discuss with your medical practitioner whether it's the right thing to remove. However, I'm so grateful that I stuck with it, because now like I said, my life isn't ruled by my period, and it's mad. So when I even like had this last period, I was like, oh my god, I forgot this is what it's like. I do still have pains. However, I can't remember if I mentioned this. I do have pains during the month, but I just may not bleed. And I don't know what that's about or why, but yeah, that's just worth noting. It's not always when I bleed that I have pain. I do have pain when I'm not always bleeding. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's like, I'd say, my yearly update on it all. I hope this was useful. Like I said, I'm really passionate about helping get rid of the stigma about periods. And so, as uncomfortable as this is for me, I will do it if it helps anyone in some way learn about, first of all, this condition that affects 1 in 10 women, and 2, just helps someone think about another option, because I know that when I was getting the coil inserted, there wasn't much out there, and it can be a really, really lonely experience. So hope this helps, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to message me. I always answer questions about this stuff, because I think we just all like to talk sometimes. And yeah, that's it. Have a fabulous evening, guys. See you soon.